Alright, hello everybody, good morning, and, well, I guess technically closer to afternoon here, but, welcome to a continuation, and hopefully finale, of a series from, like, hell, the last 3 years or so. So here's the general deal of what's going on here. A few years back, Mr. Javelin had made a crapload of AIs for the Silent Lion Arena. For anyone unfamiliar with the mechanic, basically you can custom train an AI by repeatedly sparring against it. You give it its own parts, you give it its own kind of patterns for fighting stuff. You basically train an AI from scratch. It's a pretty time-consuming process, but dude went ahead and made a few hundred of them. Anyway, so yeah, basically there was a thing when they first came out that I was saying, hey, you know what, doing a rocket run, maybe I'll just go ahead and do a rocket only of your entire AI arena. Figured that'd be a good way to end cap everything, and then I just kind of didn't realize that they kept on coming. So, at any rate, at some point, ended up running into this, that, or the other, and life happened, and so parts 11 to 20 were not quite done yet, so that's kind of what we're doing right here. Now, for anyone unfamiliar with this ugly monstrosity right here, this is the starch diet. Basically, I specifically made an AAC that is, well, it's just kind of bad in every category, to be honest. Everything aside from energy, really. It says attack power is a B. That's only because of the napalm rockets having way more ammo than they should. The defensive power says it's a B because of these shoulder pads, which, for anyone unfamiliar with the glitch, Silent Lion has a thing where if your shoulder pads are blown off, you basically go into negative defense. So that's always fun. And yeah, then we basically are kind of slow, kind of iffy against everything, and don't have any actual lock-on capabilities. So let's go ahead and take this dumpster fire over to the arena. Alright, so this is Missionary 11 here, starting off with melee. Looks like we got a bazooka spammer, bazooka small missile kind of situation. Probably going to be relatively quick. Let's go ahead and give it a go. To further explain the mechanics of this whole kind of situation here. Actually, one quick moment, let me go ahead and sorry, I gotta pull up my other window here, because I'm just looking at this from the recording side of things. Anyway, so probably going to be a little bit rusty, but whatever, let's give this a go. I need a slightly lower profile here, because this is going to be a smaller unit. As per usual, rule is to let them fire first. Basically, since the AI is dumb, unless they are one of the extremely BS ones, I just let them fire first. Right, totally forgot about all of the missile spam. Figure no more fitting music than some Battletoads for this. Alright, pretty decent bazooka spam on this thing. Now, yeah, as far as more specifics on the build and whatever else, the napalms are one of the only things you actually have rocket-wise on your left side. And strangely enough, they, for whatever reason, decided to give them a really huge ammo capacity on this one. Like, it never got remotely close for the rest of the series, so couldn't really tell you what they were thinking there. But with the ammo extenders, you get all the way up to 120. And as far as how I'm aiming and whatever else, basically each of these are going to, well, anything with regard to AC is going to follow a kind of relative trajectory to wherever you are at the moment, so usually they're trying to avoid you in a very particular way that just sort of becomes muscle memory over time. And so there you go, there's that first one gone. I wonder how long it's going to be before we hit a brick wall, because there are multiple of these that took a very long time to do. Let's go ahead and turn the music up a little bit. Also, let's go ahead and fix one thing here before it becomes a problem, namely the capture cursor button over on the recording software. Because, man, oh man, that crap gets ridiculous. Alright, get some linear gun, grenade cannon, spammy guy. This kind of setup has come up a few times. I've seen this frame a lot. Not going to be too big of a threat on the missile side of things. And if you're wondering why double rocket, or why, well, hand rockets are some of your only hand options. There's the heavy rockets, but those are kind of meh. The assault rockets are there for, well, basically they're there for DPS. They're not really that amazing in terms of everything, but I guess more DPS in terms of holding somebody in place, like right there. It really messes them up when you can just kind of hold them in place. Sometimes you need damage, sometimes you need to be able to move them. Sometimes you need to be able to just keep spamming. Sometimes you just literally need to run around in circles until they run out of ammo and then snipe at the sky and hope you actually hit them, like that one guy. We won't name names, except we'll name names, except I don't remember those names, so we won't be naming them. Alright. Yeah, more than likely I'll probably do like a part or two each of these. Like, literally all I have right now is until the kiddos wake up. I wasn't expecting to even have an opening right now. So, we'll see. Got everything done a little bit early today. Also, for some reason, despite the fact that it says specifically that this music was from the Genesis version, this music does not sound right. Man. Really hope one of these KOs is going to happen from the Game Over music. I was very close to doing that. And yeah, as much as it will occasionally look like I'm just spamming at nothing, almost every shot, rocket-wise here, is some kind of prediction. So, I'll try to call them whenever I can, but just trying to chatter out every single one of those little things is going to be a bit of a pain. I have done that for some parts of this, but you know what? It's been a hell of a year. Old man tired. Alright. Got the Silky, so this thing should be awful. Alright, we got anti-missiles, we got... This is definitely going to be a blade spammer, no question. I'm assuming he's going for stun and blade. Okay, so pistols for heat, for sure. We need to go slightly lower here, because there's a quad that we're dealing with. Let's go ahead and get rid of those, actually. So I'm going to go heavies into lights. There we go. And he's on fire. So almost all of these guys do cheat, for those unfamiliar with this concept here. Because again, the AI can only be so good at conserving energy. It tries to emulate what you do when you're training it as much as possible, meaning that many of these ended up taking presumably dozens of hours of actual training to be able to make them act the way they do. And funnily enough, it's theorized that the only reason that this was included in the first place was because some crazy programmer was like, you know what? I gotta turn Mobius into a Blade AI, but I can't make them not suck. How do I do that? And so they're like, okay, just, here you go. We baked up this system for you. If you can make this weird way of doing stuff work, you can pull it off. And then he did. And then you've got an overboost Blade spammer as your arena champion. So there's that. And people said that there's no, like, DPS rockets in early 3rd gen. Or early Armored Core. Come on now. You can just fire these things like crazy. But no, I mean, they're not that crazy, to be fair. Just immediately backtrack on that very firm statement, you know? Alright, so there's 3. Let's see what this 3rd one's got. Alright, Jittergog. Alright, what's your deal? Oh, sweet. So, yeah, to give you an idea of what the meta is here, that like every now and then there will be a meta build. Like this chunky boy right here. So he's a big heavy one. More than likely, damage just plinks off him entirely with this heavy of armor, because he's got the casques with the heavy legs. This kind of crap is just like... It's borderline entirely busted in the Sunline, where certain builds can become so resistant that they take 1 damage. This isn't one of those, but it's very close. Actually, shields and everything else were kind of banned in recent tournaments. I say recent, that was like a year ago. Anyway, actually side shields might be a good thing, because if I can get around to his sides, that could potentially throw his stability into all kinds of whack there. But this weapon combo, the lefty sniper and the 800 MG, is pretty much just like silent line BS incarnate. Because lefty sniper breaks parts, meaning my side shields are going to take like 5 hits and be done. We've also got the 800 MG, just basically never running out of ammo and doing consistent DPS. So like I said earlier, there's certain cases where I will not be against firing first, and these kinds of builds are when that's the case. Because he is already designed not to be fair. By any stretch of the imagination. He's almost got max AP. I'm screwing this up entirely right now. But this guy is getting an overheat on me from like a million miles away with this friggin' thing. So napalm rockets aren't enough to get him. Yeah, I keep hitting walls. It's been a while. It's definitely been a while. You can just sense the rust. Heavies are seemingly doing okay. I mean, all this stuff is just gonna barely tickle him anyway. Like, some of these mega chunky, like, just, meta armor builds, whatever you want to call them. I mean, yeah, I'm doing, like, what, 400 with the heavies? Or with the hand rockets? Those things can do, like, 800 in an ideal scenario. Actually, I think technically they can do, like, 1800, what am I saying? Anyway, let's keep this going. Alright. Get a little bit of sip of coffee and get this going. I'm thinking keep away might be the way to do this. Because he will keep sniping, but he is entirely limited by the range of that 800 MG. And he is landing, so that tells me that we can probably napalm and run here. Because the 800 MG, it's ridiculously good, but it's no 1000 MG. I'm just kidding, it's better, but as far as I'm concerned, it has 200 less bullets, meaning that's 200 less things to dodge. So as long as I can hopefully front most of these hits, almost got him on that landing shot. See, this is why the 800 MG is kind of BS, though. And I did say in the past that I would try to stay on the mat as much as possible, but again, exceptions will be made. All bets are off when it comes to this kind of build, because this is, functionally speaking, broken mechanics being abused in a build. So we're not going to be messing with that. We'll be as fair as the build allows. How about that? There we go. Not the one that I wanted to land, but I will. And for anyone wondering why no triple burst with this thing, basically this is right on the line for what would be acceptable weight-wise. So I don't want to do a triple on there. Would either have to sacrifice 10% of ammo and everything, or, you know, just, well, be overweight, and that's just not going to work. Yeah, my shields are about to burst, meaning I'm about to start getting staggered from his sniper shots, more than likely. Now, unfortunately, they fixed a bug from AC3 inside the line. Funnily enough, they did bring it over to the portable versions, but specifically when it came to rockets, if you hit somebody with a rocket, you got the same effect as if you were locked on, for whatever reason. I don't know if they originally meant to have a lock on, they just worked around it or what. But yeah, it was a strange case where you could essentially get an idea for what ammo they were working with. Now, thankfully, there's, I believe, 64 shots in that rifle, so I'd assume it's probably pretty close to done. That being said, I probably should have been using the hand rockets here, because there's a decent chance of those getting shot right off. Alright. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so I got rid of those back rockets. Basically, that's going to give us a little bit more energy recovery. And, so we'll hear if he drops a weapon. So far, he hasn't done so. In fact, I believe on some of them, he specifically made them not drop their arm weapons. Just because, presumably, you could tell. Right, could you run out of ammo anytime soon here? Just a bit of a thought. And apologies for the inevitable, oh, you made me think my Discord is active situation. Sorry, I forgot to turn that off in the background. I had to re-download these files. Because apparently my emulator didn't have them anymore, so there's that. Alright, good, finally we did some damage. Nope. Ah, you dick. Alright. Yeah, I'm assuming he probably had maybe his last 100 left there. But that's fine. I think that strategy will work. Just gotta go back far enough. And if you're thinking, hey, what about knocking them out of bounds? Some of them can be cheese to do that. Most of them cannot. Right, dude. Could you maybe chill with that BS speed? Just want to point out, this guy's, like, absurdly overweight. or not absurdly overweight, but just absurdly heavy, so I'm just going to walk out of bounds on that one. I'm not going to recover from a charge. It's like, in the normal arena, yeah, you can pull that off. In the Javelin arena, yeah, that ain't going to happen. Alright, back to it. I wonder if anybody else will take over, because I think the Javelin's kind of retired from doing these at this point, so I wonder if we'll eventually get another one. Because I think it was Sash that was still doing Verdict Day arenas, or AI arenas, and honestly, I wish I still had a PS3, because, well, one of those cases where it was basically not used for anything other than playing Verdict Day every few months or something, so it was, unfortunately cut. For budgetary reasons, if you could please land so one of these predictive shots look like they actually know where they're going, please. Thank you. There we go. Right, hit that wall, please. Thank you. To kind of address something that came up earlier. See, this is this guy right here is an example of the SL meta for always bringing more bullets. Because he doesn't even have the ammo extenders, and yeah, he's doing pretty alright. Right, we're gonna see. This is one of the cool things about reverse joints. Even if you're out of energy, you can essentially convince the AI that you're not. Sometimes, you see this kind of distance, I can kind of maybe get away with it a little bit. We'll see. But these, I'll be honest, I really hope he doesn't make any more of these kinds. Going forward, because these were just plain BS. SL had a very particular meta for very particular things, and realistically, in most cases, you probably never would run into it. Like, I think the closest you actually see to this crap is Silver Fox, and he's pretty easy to take out once you know what you're doing. Funnily enough, Silver Fox doesn't actually cheat, which is kind of neat. Alright. Let me adjust the way I'm sitting. I'm sure that's at least part of it. Actually, come to think of it, it wasn't even life stuff. It was carpal tunnel that made me quit doing it the first time, which I'm starting to remember right now. Yeah, it takes some very particular hand movements to get these little thingamajigs done. Yeah, this one's probably also scuffed. Although, never say never, you know? Yeah, there was, so there was a rebalance patch that Voctor's still apparently working on. Keep wanting to say that Voctor was working on, but that, yeah, anyway. But yeah, one of those things was getting rid of this, like, ultra heavyweight hyper armor crap. Because essentially what he's done here is he's taken a really busted combo, combined it with the busted armor mechanic, combined it with the busted part break mechanic. Actually, this is why part break was actually banned in that tournament as well. I think it's actually still, like, most folks don't play with part break turned off. But yeah. Oh, actually, I should probably explain that. So, as far as I can tell, the actual mechanics for part break, it seems like whether or not something will break is determined not by its damage, but its projectile type. And for some reason, rifles and sniper rifles, sniper rifles at the very top, rifles right underneath that, are very, very good at just snapping stuff off your AC, which, the thing is, not everything is... It's not exactly where it says that you're getting hit. So, like, right here, these kind of scatter shots and everything else, these shoulder pads end up counting as hits a lot more often than not, even though it's probably, like, legs or whatever else getting hit. And by the way, oh, oops. That one was unintentional. That's entirely on me. Take the loss on that one. But yeah, so it seems like in many cases, as long as you're hit by the thing, it'll break it, even if it's not really hitting you on those shoulder pads. And I don't really exactly know what causes it. All I know is that that lefty sniper thing is friggin' notorious for just breaking your parts. And really, really sucks when, you know, this friggin' Terminator AI has it. And this guy is basically the equivalent of Androns from Xenonauts, where it's just like this big, bulky, friggin' clanky monstrosity that just snipes you out of nowhere and just never stops moving, even though it's a really easy target in theory. I mean, that being said, this is one of those cases of a meta that was incredibly easy to figure out. Like, I know my first time through, this was basically my build. The only difference was it was like a heavy midweight, not really a full-blown heavyweight. I always felt allergic to heavy biped builds for some reason. Though that changed as soon as I saw Stallion in AC3. I'm like, man, that is one sexy-looking AC. I don't know. That's I don't care that it makes absolutely no sense. I want to do that. Which, incidentally, next challenge run that I want to do for AC is going to be Shield and Parry Blade, because I want to test the shield mechanics. So, recently somebody was getting into AC for the first time and was discussing a bunch of different mechanics, and I was wondering about the physics of the shield specifically. Because if you look at the Shield and Parry Blade, they're both very strange on their own. Like, the Parry Blade overheats you, and it's supposed to parry light blades, or it's supposed to parry laser blades, but it does that kind of like pulling back animation as if you're supposed to be holding a shield up, and it pulls your arm in the way, so you basically, in theory, would take less damage from a blade because it's not hitting your core, right? So, this made me theorize that I wonder if, when combining consistently with a laser, or with a laser shield, if that actually does have the effect of blocking the sword entirely and parrying it. Now, I don't know for sure. I mean, basically, there's only 3 categories allowed for that run, which is just going to be all laser or any shields, any parry blades, and actually, I think on top of regular sparking, I think my hand rockets are about to be shot off. Oh yeah, and basically laser armor. So we'll see. Now, I want to take a look real quick. I'm curious how much ammo he's actually burning through. And figuring these out is oftentimes just like a function of seeing how they function and finding their weak points. For some of these, I know I specifically had to go fly underneath them. So he is definitely cheating. He's only got the 2 weapons, though, so he's completely harmless if he runs out. But oh boy, he is functionally a rocket ship made of guns. Fitting music there, music player. Thank you. I mean, I'm already seeing one way that we can abuse him. I've basically been going for the legs. I just figured it's the easiest target to hit, because, you know, he lands, it's going to be at a consistent elevation. He does seem to be flying at a relatively consistent elevation, which, at that point, you may be wondering, hey, why do you not use the elevation counter, then? I mean, because that's why. Actually, I just like to have a clear screen. I feel like muscle memory is a little bit better than some of the metrics in the game. Anyway. So yeah, he's basically got really good coverage in terms of everything, but if we can snipe him right there, like where he's at his top peak, he seems to be going and flying at a specific point. So I'm gonna say that's consistent enough to basically aim at a point in the sky and just hit him there. This arranging out strategy seems to be working. And actually, yeah, if we're hitting him at the bottom... hey, it's the big rat fight music. If we hit him at the bottom, then he gets, you know, stunned back a little bit. If we hit him in the air, that should push him back a decent ways and actually keep him at a distance. That could work. Yeah, this ammo situation's a little bit better than I thought, actually. Because he's already halfway down. This one had pretty bad dodging, meaning that other one we probably were very close to pulling it off. So, yeah, it looks like, this will be the way to do it. The dodge situation is very much viable. I should probably be making better use of overboost. Even when getting hit, my heat isn't going up very much. The rifle does a decent bit. The MG requires really consistent damage because its heat drops off pretty quick. Okay, so he was about 3/4 of the way through. Also, finally got a game over to the game over music. Freaking called it. Let me make sure this music's not about to run out. Yeah, let me go restart it. Let's do this thing. I know what we're doing now. Let's do this thing. Alright, just about. Oh, shoot. Oh, they are awake. Alright, this is probably going to be the last attempt for today. Needs to be a little higher. But this is the strat, as they say. Or is that a cat? I don't know. That's either a child or a cat, one of the two. Alright, got him midair. Yeah, this is the way. This is definitely the way. And if I can knock him back, that ruins his... Alright, I think that's as much as we're doing today. Basically, this is going to take a while. Anyway, see you next time.